Before anyone clicks off, I want to show you that I have the Masked Dancer CD, which means that I am important and cool. Okay, to the video now. Alright, well, I'm setting up my set here. I guess I'll explain what I'm doing here. I like to talk about music, and I like to show music that I've collected, so I thought I'd do both because I can. And I think it might be cool to see where I might get some inspirations from. Because I like a lot of these albums so much, I end up taking inspiration, and if you listen to them, which I highly recommend you do, you'll probably hear where I got a lot of stuff from. From what I can gather from my videos suggesting my videos statistics, I don't know how to say this nicely, not a lot of you listen to good music. So maybe I could put you on here. Can you see that? This says dot. But yeah, so you know, maybe if you like my stuff, give some of these a try and you might find something else you like. Or if you found I post my music on Rate Your Music, so if you found me there, you probably know all of these and you probably enjoy all these. Or if you're a contrarian, you probably don't enjoy all of these. Hello, youtube.com. Also, I apologize for the lighting. It's nighttime, and I don't have any professional lighting equipment, and I'm also in my closet, so you know, not the best case scenario for recording a YouTube video, but I don't care. Yeah, I'm gonna start off with a few honorable mentions here. I might not consider these my favorites, but they probably either impacted me or have a special place in my heart. But they're not like good enough to be something I'd consider one of my favorites. So starting off here, I have Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas. This is an odd one because nothing else on the list really sounds like this, and I don't normally listen to music that sounds like this. I don't listen to a whole lot of jazz. I play jazz because like I take guitar lessons, so that's normally what I'm learning, but I don't listen to it a whole lot. I wouldn't have said that this had a special place in my heart maybe like 2 years ago, but these last two Christmases, this has been a huge part of it for me because I started enjoying music a lot more. So having something that actually sounded good to also feel the Christmas cheer too was nice. It's not only enjoyable in the holiday season, like I could throw this on now and enjoy all of the songs. They're just super nice to listen to. Harmonically, they're all really interesting but simple at the same time, which I think makes for some really catchy but interesting songs. There's almost like this is true for the special too, that this is soundtracking, but there's almost like an underlying sense of melancholy, which you know, you don't normally associate with Christmas music, but it's a welcome change because, you know, a lot of it feels like it's a forced happiness. Like the music's kind of forcing you to be happy, but like, you know, you can feel a little down at Christmas, and I think this is a perfect soundtrack for that. As for favorite songs off of here, I'm gonna try to do 3 favorites off of each of these. But favorites on here are O Tannenbaum, Christmas Time Is Here, obviously, and Skating. Those 3 are my go-tos if I'm listening to this. But there's no way you haven't heard this, but if you haven't, you should check it out. Outside of Christmas, it's a really good album. We have Insomniac by Green Day. Now, Green Day is a super duper important band to me. They were, up until I was like 13, they were literally all I listened to. Besides, I had a short Imagine Dragons phase, which I don't like to think about that. But other than that, if I was listening to a song, it was Green Day. This is reflecting really funny on my face. It's a weird reflective cover. Since I started listening to music that was outside of like the pop mainstream, I didn't really return to Green Day a whole lot because I had a short phase where they were like too popular for me. But I think it was back in 2022. One day I decided to turn on Insomniac because I remember liking that one. And it kind of surprised me at how good the songs still were to me. They all sound super rough, almost. Not in a bad way, like in a good way. It was the kind of rough that I was used to listening to. A lot of the guitars are super, super crunchy. The drums are really well placed in the mix, and the bass is super easy to hear. A lot of it just sounds super duper tight while also sounding more lo-fi than other Green Day releases. It almost sounds like it's a step down in production value from Dookie, which is definitely not a bad thing in my opinion. I think Dookie's a little too polished for my liking. It's still a great album. After, re-listening to all of Green Day's albums since swearing them off as too mainstream for me, I really enjoy all of them still. That's the other thing. Green Day is probably the biggest inspiration for me because it was so ingrained in my brain from basically the day I was born. Like, Green Day's the reason I started drumming in the first place. Green Day's the reason I kind of got back into music, I think. But yeah, my three favorites off of here are probably Armitage Shanks, Stewart and the Avenue, and Walking Contradiction. Next up, I have two albums. I have In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel and Twin Fantasy by Car Seat Headrest. And these were the first albums that I want to say really, really clicked with when I was getting back into listening to music. I heard these when I was 14 maybe. Something about them just really, really resonated with me. And I don't feel the same way about them still. I've heard more stuff that I probably enjoy more, but these two are really important in my kind of journey of getting back into listening to music. I don't know, when I first heard these, it was just kind of like a spark went off in my head that I realized like what music could be. And I think a lot of people have that same experience because these two albums are very popular amongst people who are just getting back into, or just getting into less mainstream music in the first place. That's probably because they're both pretty accessible. They're not super out there in terms of sound or songwriting. The melodies are all still pretty poppy, and like the production isn't super lo-fi. Everything sounds like it was done in a studio still. I think it's a really good gateway into listening to more alternative stuff. Both of them are still really good albums in my opinion, but there's just stuff I like more. I'm gonna do a favorite from each of these because I don't feel like doing 6 songs for some reason. But favorite from In the Aeroplane Over the Sea is definitely Two-Headed Boy Part 2. I still think that's one of the best songs of all time. The same is true with the Car Seat Headrest one, which is Famous Prophets. That song I think made me cry when I first heard it. I don't really remember. I don't doubt it though. Alright, I have one last honorable mention here. This is the only one that's kind of like, it was almost in the top 10. But I had 2 albums that I was deciding between and I picked the other one. But this is the one that got cut, but it's still an amazing album, still one of my favorites of all time. It's Leaves Turn Inside You by Unwound. And this album is just crazy. I still don't think I fully understand it, which may be why it's not in my favorites list. Because I picked 10 favorites. I could have done 11 favorites. I don't know. I don't care. What I do know is like it's probably one of the most innovative post-hardcore indie rock albums of all time. You listen to this and you don't understand how some of these sounds were created. And like the production is so hazy, but it's also really clear at the same time. I love listening to this. I have to be in a certain mood though, because it is kind of it's a really unique mood that this puts you in. If I were to pick 3 favorites, I mean, obviously the 2 long ones, Below the Salt and Terminus, but probably the other one would be October All Over. The guitar riff on that one is just so great. Alright, moving on to the favorites list. This is going to count for 2 albums, because if this band had a release for their other album, I would buy it in an instant no matter how much it costed. But so this is Masked Dancers, Concerned in So Many Things You Forget Where You Are by the Brave Little Abacus. They have a knack for really catchy album titles. This album I'm going to count for both Masked Dancers and Just Got Back from the Discomfort We're Alright, their second album and last album. This list is in no particular order, but both of the albums that these guys released are at the top, like by far. I enjoy the Brave Little Abacus for a lot of the same reasons I like that Unwound record, but everything just clicked at some point with the Brave Little Abacus, and I just realized one day that they were the greatest thing to ever happen, I think. You know, a lot of people don't like it. Or I shouldn't say that. They have 2 really highly rated albums on Rate Your Music. A lot of normal people don't like it. Like, when I first started listening to these guys and playing them in the car, my parents would always kind of grimace at the vocals, which, you know, is understandable. Adam Demersion has a very eclectic voice. I don't think he's a bad singer, though. I think he's a really, really talented singer. He makes some really cool melodic decisions, and he hits notes. It's just he has an interesting timbre to his voice, and that's what turns a lot of people off. Once you stick with it, and once you realize all the intricacies of the Brave Little Abacus, you realize that they were kind of geniuses, and their sound is so unique, and I don't think it could ever be replicated, but I also don't think it should ever be replicated, because that's what makes these guys so special. No one else sounds like them. And you know, a lot of artists have really unique sounds and, you know, kind of subpar songs to write, and I love those artists because their sounds are so unique, but like the songs don't really resonate with me. But like the songwriting that the Brave Little Abacus had was like genius. You know, a lot of the chord progressions and the structures and the drumming and the way everything sounds and everything is just so unique, but it's also so perfect. If you're gonna listen to anything from this video, make it something from these guys. If you want more of a, I don't want to say conventional, because nothing about any of these guys' music is conventional, but if you want more of a conventional listen with a cleaner production and more tight music, listen to Just Got Back from the Discomfort. And then if you want more of a math rock, random guitar shreds all over the place, really odd everything, listen to Masked Dancers. 3 favorite songs, I can't pick them. I'll tell you my least favorite song, which is He Never Existed in the First Place. That is the only Brave Little Abacus song that I skip sometimes when it comes on. Next up, the only other non-vinyl copy that I have here. This is Little Logic Songs by Little Kid. The cassette isn't in here because I was listening to it earlier. But this is a really interesting one, because I wasn't super into this sound before I heard this album. This is more of like a lo-fi indie folk kind of thing. It was all done on a 4-track recorder, I think, a 4-track cassette recorder. Something about it just resonated with me so much. I think I heard this on the first day of going back to a public high school. I don't know if other people have this experience, but like that day is always just such a depressing day. I heard it after watching a YouTube channel that made a video essay about the Texas Jerusalem Crossroads by Live to Experience, which is another one of my favorite albums. The channel name is August Riley, and they focus a lot on more out of the ordinary religious music. which I didn't know existed before hearing Live to Experience. And that kind of stuff resonates with me quite a bit. So I was happy to receive another album that might fit into that. And hearing this for the first time just destroyed me. I think this is the last time, or listening to this for the first time was the last time I actually cried listening to music. You tear up and stuff, but this is the last time I actually cried listening to music. Listening back to it, I can definitely see why. A lot of the themes on here resonate very heavily with me. There's a lot of questioning, a lot of revelations about certain things in your life. I think my favorite detail on here is that the first song is called The Train Behind My House. It compares the presence that religion has in your life to a train behind your house that kind of just fades into background noise the more you hear it because you just get so used to it. And then the last song is called Train. The song part of it is good, but it's a 9-minute song with 3 minutes of song. And then the rest of it is field recordings of trains that kind of signify a journey's end, that you found what you were looking for that you had lost at the start of the album. And that can be, religion for you, or that could be something else. But it's just a super powerful thing to have at the end of the album after you've stated that the thing that you lost feels like the noise of a train that has been pushed into the background because you hear it so much. And then at the end it just overwhelms you with noises of trains. This was also a big inspiration for some of the music that I started making in early 2023. Listening to this inspired me to start doing a lot of the sounds that are found on This'll Be Hard to Clean. Yeah, really awesome album. Favorite 3 songs. The first song, Train Behind My House, beautiful song. Let There Be Light, and The Lord Made Me Leave You. Alright, next we have Come In by Weather Day. I'd show off my Hornet Disaster vinyl, but it's not here yet. This album is really awesome in the way that it sounds. It's almost cooler knowing that Sputnik recorded this album on one of their gaming headsets, I think. I don't know, they say that on their Bandcamp. But this is just such a cool album. It opens with probably one of the best openers ever, Come In. Once I say this, you're probably going to hear it a little too much, but that song very heavily inspired my song, Runaway, They Say While Remaining Perfectly Still. It's probably the best way this album could have opened. And, it just never slows down. I mean, it slows down, but the consistency never slows down. Every song on this album is great. They all have moments that surprise you, and they all have moments that really stand out to me. I could pick out a moment from each of these songs that, makes it one of my favorites on the album. It doesn't matter. But if I had to pick 3 favorites, they would be the opener, Come In, My Sputnik Sweetheart, and Agatha, You're Being Melodramatic. I did that earlier this time, but I want to talk about this album more. A lot of the harmonic decisions on this album are really interesting, especially on My Sputnik Sweetheart. They almost sound like they're taken from romantic classical music, which is not something you hear super often, but it's a really awesome sound, in my opinion. I was exposed to a lot of that in my first year of public high school, because I took an AP music theory class, so I had to listen to a lot of that kind of music. But hearing that in the context of a super crunchy and lo-fi emo album is just awesome. And this also inspired me to continue my work as a solo project instead of finding a band. I was seriously looking at getting a band for my live stuff because I wanted to be a band. But I heard this and I realized you can be a solo project that still makes amazing music. There's a weird rumbling. Okay, this is one of the newer ones on my list. Not the newest. Wait. Yeah, not the newest. But this is Magnolia Electric Company by Songs Ohia, I think. I used to say Ohio, but I think Ohio is the correct way to pronounce it, but that doesn't sound right to me. This is some of the best songwriting I think ever. Rest in peace, Jason Molina and Steve Albini. Steve Albini produced this album. He's also one of my favorite producers. And Jason Molina, I think, wrote all these songs. And yeah, he was I think he was a generational talent in terms of how he used lyrics to tell a story. Because you don't hear a whole lot that reads like this. You know, you read through the lyrics of some of these songs and they almost don't feel like songs, they feel like whole stories. And, you know, I think that's super special. And on top of that, the music is also great. I don't think there's a single dull moment in this album. Some people don't like Lunchbox something blues. I don't know how to say that word. Peoria Lunchbox Blues? I don't know. I love that song. It's not my favorite on the record, but I don't know. I don't think I have a least favorite song on here. Anytime I listen to this album, I listen to the whole thing. It's just such a consistent listen. Every song is as good as the last one, except for a few. It's pretty widely agreed upon that there are one, if not a few, really large standouts on this album. But yeah, it's so consistent. It's 7 songs. It's pretty quick, I think, if I can remember. It feels quick to listen to. I don't actually remember the runtime. And for 3 favorites off of here, pretty obviously Farewell Transmission. Old Black Hen is going to be one of mine, which I don't think a lot of people really choose, but that song, I don't know. I love it a lot. And then Hold On Magnolia. The opener and the closer are definitely the 2 best songs on here, but Old Black Hen is also amazing. Next up is another newer one on this list. It's Worry by Jeff Rosenstock. I think this album I've known about for the longest, because I checked my playlist and I realized I had the opener We Beg to Explode on my playlist in 2020, which is weird because I didn't actually realize how great this album was until recently. I want to say last year I realized that this was one of the best albums of all time, but I've known about it for a while, but something just clicked recently. I think my infatuation with pop punk resurfaced at some point, and I realized that this is the best pop punk album of all time. There are just so many great songs on here. Also, actually, the biggest thing about this album, I think, is the sound. This is the best sounding rock album, like, of all time, I think. That's what drew me in about We Beg to Explode when I first heard it. You know, the piano and stuff in the intro is nice, but like when the guitars come in at the end, I was floored by how much it sounded like I want it to sound. Like, if I were to pick any album to sound like, ideally, it would be this one. And I think a lot of people agree with that, because I see that take a lot. Also, I have to commend the drumming on here. Currently, Kevin Higuchi is my biggest inspiration for drumming, which you'll probably notice in some of my newer songs. But some of his fills and stuff, they're so infectious. I can't not put them into my drumming. It's impossible. Also, I saw these guys live. They're incredible. Probably the best live show I've been to ever. If I had to pick favorite songs, oh boy, this is gonna be hard. Oh, I didn't even mention the medley. There's a medley on here, like Abbey Road medley, and it's better than the Abbey Road medley. Favorite songs are We Beg to Explode, Festival Song, which is probably my favorite off of here, and I want to say the entire medley for one song, but I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to shorten it to the last 2, While You're Alive and Perfect Sound Whatever, because you can't not listen to those 2 songs together. You can listen to those apart from the medley, but you can't listen to them separated. So yeah. If we're counting the medley, if we're not, the last two. I think this is the newest addition to my favorites list. I have Big Thief's Dragon, New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You. And this is a great album. It's long, and you know, I don't think I'd have it any other way, because within its runtime, it goes through such a big variety of sounds, but it still feels grounded around a certain vibe, I guess. It's just a really fun listen all the way through. Side A probably has the most standard flow of songs, and then the rest of the sides kind of mix in shorter, more experimental cuts with some of the more conventional songs. This album sounds like it was a really fun time to record. You listen to the songs and it's like you can hear the band members having fun. Another thing is, this album is very much not perfection, and I don't think any of the people making it were perfectionists, because you can hear things that happen that would be considered mistakes. There's odd mixing choices, like if I'm remembering correctly, on Wake Me Up to Drive, the drums are panned to like the left. I might be mixing that up with another song, but you know, there's a lot of odd choices on here. There's a lot of experimentation with how things sound and all that, and it just doesn't care, and that's what makes this so awesome. Everyone knows Adrienne Lenker is a fantastic songwriter. Everyone loves her solo stuff. I love her solo stuff. Some of my favorite songs on here are actually more reminiscent of her solo stuff, but I think those songs actually shine better on this album because they're mixed in with the more of the full band stuff. Her knack for melody writing is just incredible. There's a bunch of songs on here that just have super catchy melodies. I find myself humming them to myself a lot of the time. Another more underlooked aspect of this record, I think, is Buck Meek as a guitar player. I don't think a lot of people really look to him as a great guitar player, but you know, he plays really simple lines, but the note choices are all very unique, I guess, and it's not like something I hear a lot, and I find his playing to be very hypnotic almost. I don't know. He's a great guitar player, and I think more people should recognize that. If you've ever seen a live video of these guys, you know how he moves and stuff, and you know he always takes my attention. But you know, if you haven't seen them live, you might not realize how great of a player he is. Favorite songs on here are probably the title track, Dragon, New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You, Promise is a Pendulum, and Simulation Swarm. Simulation Swarm is my favorite off of here. That's what got me to listen to this album in the first place, because I was late to the party on this. I think I first discovered Simulation Swarm mid 2023, and I don't know if this is right. I'll post my Last FM stats on the video right now, but I think I listened to that song 100 times the first time I heard it. So yeah, it resonated pretty heavily with me. It's probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Next up, we have one of the weirder records I have, not in terms of sound, but in terms of how they packaged it. But it's Modest Mouse with the Lonesome Crowded West, which in my opinion should have been a gatefold, you know, but they have two separate covers. I don't know. This always bugged me that it's packaged like this, but I can't complain because the album's great and I have it and I can listen to it on my turntable. This is a lot like the Big Thief album in terms of like it has a super long runtime, or not, I guess not super long, but it has a long runtime, and it travels through a bunch of different sounds throughout that runtime. Whenever I listen to this, I kind of pick and choose the album that I hear, because unlike some of these other ones, I rarely listen to this all the way through. I'll I'll kind of pick the songs that I'm feeling that day and just play those ones. All of these songs are great. I think some of them just have pretty different moods from the other ones. This album has a really awesome sound to it. It sounds pretty messy in some places, but also really calculated. The musicianship is pretty respectable, especially the drumming. Rest in peace to Jeremiah Green. He was one of my favorite drummers ever, probably. His grooves are just so creative on here, especially Trucker's Atlas. Probably one of the most fun songs to drum ever. That tom groove with the ride cymbal in there is just so fun to play. And he was just an incredible drummer. The guitar on here is also really interesting. I don't think Isaac Brock was a particularly skilled guitar player at the time, but the choices that he made were super creative. Like the harmonics and stuff. I hadn't heard anything like that before listening to Modest Mouse. The lyrics on here are also pretty incredible in my opinion. A lot of it is kind of funny to listen to nowadays, especially the line, the malls are the soon-to-be ghost towns. You know, I feel like they kind of predicted that with this. And because, you know, you go to the mall nowadays and there's no one there. It's kind of a depressing place to be, in my opinion. But, you know, a lot of the lyrics on here are just so inspired sounding, especially Bankrupt on Selling. I remember seeing the Pitchfork documentary about the creation of this album, and some of the band members were saying that Isaac just started singing that, improvising it in the back of their van, and it really sounds like that. It sounds like a stream of consciousness that's inspired by a distaste for things that you're seeing in the world right now. As for 3 favorites here, this is going to be hard because there's so many standouts, but definitely Teeth Like Got Shoe Shine. Oh boy. Cowboy Dan, also. And then Styrofoam Boots, I think. I don't know. This one's really hard. Okay, I'm gonna do 5 favorites for this one because I'm allowing myself to. I don't care. Teeth That Got Shoe Shine, Doing the Cockroach, Cowboy Dan, Trucker's Atlas, and Styrofoam Boots. There we go. 5 favorites. I couldn't leave Trucker's Atlas and Doing the Cockroach out. Okay, we're nearing the end here, and my camera's almost dead, so I gotta move fast. Next up, we have Spiderland by Slint. I did not like this when I first heard it, and it kind of made itself apparent as something worth listening to the more I tried it out. And I'm glad it did that because it's an awesome album. It really got me into the more slow burn focused side of rock music that kind of makes you wait for the big parts and tests your patience almost. Not that this is a super patience testing album, but you know, for where I was at the time, like I was just waiting for the loud part, and all of the loud parts were at the ends of the songs. Yeah, it showed me that there's beauty in having to wait for the good things to happen because, you know, it almost makes them seem more important because you've been starved of a distorted guitar for so long. So when it finally comes in, it sounds a whole lot better than if they just brought it in at the start. That's the other thing. The guitar work and drum work is really creative all throughout this thing. Drumming to some of these songs was really odd at first because I didn't have much experience with odd time signatures, and some of the fills on here are just really strange in the sense that they don't make a whole lot of sense, but in the context of this album, they make a whole lot of sense because it's Spiderland. It's kind of haunting and creepy, or it kind of puts you on the edge of your seat at times. 3 favorite songs. This is a weird one to do that for because there's only 6 songs on here. But I guess Breadcrumb Trail, Washer, and Good Morning Captain. Those are the big 3 on here. The rest of the songs are kind of they're still great, but those are the big 3. Next up we have Crumbling by Midair Thief. Let me see it. I think that says Crumbling in Korean. I assume it does. This is probably the most interestingly produced album I've heard. It's the only one here that really delves into more of an electronic sound. The Brave Little Abacus kind of introduces some more ambient and electronic stuff, but this is for the most part electronic, and then there's some acoustic guitars in there. So I think it's folktronica is what it's called. This probably has the most interesting songwriting, some of the most interesting songwriting here. The chord progressions are all super wacky, and the melodies too to go with them. But like, you know, you put this on and you feel like you're on another planet. The sound kind of surrounds you in this haze that's depicted through the production, but like, it's beautiful. It's like you're in a cloud, but there's a bunch of stars around you, or something. I don't know. I'm bad at analogies, but this album is incredible in the way that it sounds. The songwriting's incredible. The singing's incredible. Everything about it is incredible, and I can't say enough good things about this. I was so happy to finally get this on vinyl, because before there was a repress of it, they were going for like $250 on eBay, and I almost was considering buying one for like a really special occasion. And I'm so glad I didn't, because there was a repress and I got this for like $30. So, hallelujah. As for 3 favorites off of here, Opener, Why, These Chains, and oh boy, No Answer, I think? I don't know. It's hard. There's not a bad song on here. This and Magnolia Electric Company are the 2 most consistent on here. Besides, okay, a lot of these are really consistent. The Brave Little Abacus albums and Magnolia Electric Company are the most consistent on here, in the sense that every song is basically as good as the last. Some people say that they start to sound the same, but I don't think they're listening hard enough, because these songs are very much different, and they're different in beautiful ways. Lastly, we have Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven by Godspeed You, Black Emperor. This one I don't know, I don't have a whole lot to say, because I don't actually listen to this one a whole lot, but when I do listen, it's probably the best post-rock ever of all time. It's super haunting at times, it's also beautiful at times, the production's great, all the instruments sound great. There's some really awesome crescendos on here that kind of make you feel like you're flying through the air, and then there's like some super dreary drone sections that make you feel like you're underground. It's just amazing. The sound play, I don't know if that's a term, on here is incredible. I don't think any other album gets it this good. Probably because so many people are playing on this. One of my biggest regrets ever is not seeing these guys live back in like 2022 when they were in my city. Oh well. Also, this album's like 4 songs, and each song is like 20 minutes. So that's partly why I don't listen to it a whole lot, because I have to be ready to listen to this album if I'm gonna listen to it, because it's an experience. It's not just like an album of songs like these other ones. It's more akin to a classical work, where you know, there's movements like on the inside of the gatefold. It shows all the movements to each of the tracks and stuff. I'm not gonna do favorites for this one, because there's only 4 songs here and they're all amazing. So yeah, and that concludes it. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you. I have one more, which is it's my album, Exclaim But You Don't Know What, which is on Spotify. And you know, if you cared enough to watch all the way to the end, it would be awesome if you cared enough to give my album a listen, because if you like any of these albums to a certain degree, you might find something here But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want me to do more of this kind of content. I have more stuff I'd like to talk about other than albums. I could talk about songs. Songs are an interesting topic. I could talk about instruments. Instruments are fun. I could talk about bands. And that's it. I can't talk about anything else. But yeah, if you were invested in this enough to watch to the end, please consider checking out my music. You might like it, you might not. I don't care. Tell me if you like it, don't tell me if you don't like it. I'm kidding. Give me feedback. I want it. But yeah, like and subscribe, and tell everyone in the world to listen to Manderly. I'm doing that again. So you know what to do it this time. You thought I was joking last time, but I'm being serious this time. Everyone in the world, all 9 billion of us, or however many there are now.